Good evening, friends and neighbors. Hope you guys are doing well. This is the Fallout edition, the next day after, and we're going to talk all about the Kansas City Chiefs, what they did, what they need to do going forward, and a little bit of everything, to tell you the truth. Happy to see a ton of folks already in the chat. Welcome. For those of you that are new, welcome. Somebody super chatted already. I appreciate that. Super chats are open. If you guys want to contribute to the channel, help us out a little bit, we are very appreciative. But if you do, please answer or ask a question so I can give you an answer. And I know we have a ton to talk about tonight, and I'm sure we're going to get all through all of it. But I will try to be quicker tonight. Aaron Morrow, our fearless mod, will be here at some point, and he will help us out as well. I'll try not to fall as far behind, so I'm not going to make an opening statement. We're just going to get going. If you're new to the channel, hit the like, the sub, the bell notification. Join us as we go through this run it back season. There's going to be a lot of us here and a lot going on. You'll have my stats video coming up tomorrow evening. We'll have film for you, knock on wood, by Wednesday if we get the all-22 this week. We'll have game plan as always. We'll have the tailgate video. If you guys missed that last weekend, Daniil's doing a tailgate every weekend. Getting ready for that. It'll come out a little bit early. Obviously, it's a Monday night game. So we'll have something Sunday night as well as a little bit of an extra preview that I'll just kind of jump on for a little bit. We'll do another live stream. So that's the plan going forward. Welcome to RGR. If you're new, you can always support us over at buying some t-shirts and whatnot. Either those links are going to be in the description. Let's get cutting. And the first question mark. Oh, yeah. If you are new, put the question marks at the beginning of your question like Jeff did here, and I'll be able to find them a whole lot easier. What's up, Mr. Porter? Hope you're well. I'll be throwing some stats at you. Will that work? That works just fine, Jeff. You know me. If I don't know it, you might have to explain, but I'll get there. Steve Concepcion, are you frightened of Justin Herbert? Frightened? No, but I do respect his upside. He was a kid that I actually had a lot higher than most coming out in the draft because I do think that he can eventually become a very good NFL quarterback. And I think he showed you why against the Chiefs. And that is because not only does he have a very good arm, I mean, nobody's Mahomes, but he's got a very good arm in terms of velocity and the strength of it going down the field. But he's also a big athlete and he moves well. He's a really stubborn, I kind of look at it as like if Joe Flacco were an athlete, that's what he might become. Now, I thought he needed, a year in a program to get ready because I do feel coming from Oregon, from the spread and all that, he needed some transition time. Excuse me, you guys. I'm a little under the weather, so I'm not drinking beers tonight. Coffee it is for me. Cheers. And hopefully that will help with the vocals here. So, yeah, I won't say frightened, but need to be wary. He's going to be in this division for quite a long time, and I think he has the upside to be a competitor in this division. Jeff, Chargers were better in pass yards, run yards, had twice as many runs, better red zone percentage, and almost half as many penalties. How in Hank Stram's matriculation did we win that game? Here's the thing. Points. They didn't put up the points despite all those stats. If you're not going to get out to a double score, let alone a double-digit lead on Patrick Mahomes, you're just not going to get it done. Let me pull up, and I will show you guys the game book here real quick. And I'll explain to you what I mean. Okay, so over here on my other monitor is the game book. These are the official stats that the NFL puts out. And let's see if I can get to the right page. We will find it. And here are the drives. So the Chiefs scored punt, bad, but they scored on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drives. And that got them where they needed to be, right? So that they could get into overtime. Or does that include overtime? I'm not sure. Here's the difference. You look at the Chargers, despite all those stats, and you have, unless I hit it and it goes away, because that happens sometimes. Touchdown, punt, downs, punt, touchdown. So that's 2 scores gone, 3 scores with the field goal and a 4th. So you see why this got to overtime, because despite having the same amount of drives and all those different offensive utility numbers, they still didn't put up more points. And that's obviously the name of the game. That's why that happened. And I think going forward, that's something they can build on. And I think Herbert will help do that even more. So here, I should probably have hidden this already so you guys could see all the stats that I was pointing at. But over here, 10 drives apiece. If you don't outscore Patrick Mahomes, obviously we saw what he did in the fourth quarter. If you're not ahead of him by double scores, you're in trouble. It's great. Thank you for that question, Jeff. That was awesome. And I'm going to pull this back out right now. So we're back to this. Let's see. Yeah, you can take credit for the win, Jeff. That's all right. Steve Concepcion. Does it take a combination of offensive philosophies, the spread, the ground and pound, conventional aggressive to win in the NFL, or just one? It's more and more becoming a hybrid system where people take bits and pieces from here and there. That's what Andy's doing. But Andy's a traditional West Coast offense. If you're really good at execution of your offense, you can win. Can you win championships with a ground and pound? I don't know. It's harder these days because defenses are adaptive as well. And so being able to pull bits and pieces, 5 or 6 plays from a specific genre version of an offense to be able to change it up and keep your opponents on their toes, that's really the name of the game. Being multiple is what today's game is about. But you can see teams are having to run more. They're having success running more. The run is coming back because it's a way to attack light boxes. And if guys are going to play nickel and dime all day, there's less defenders to stop the run. So you can see how some of these things are going to kind of shift back a little bit. And I think we're seeing that a little bit more this season already. Jimmy says, are we resolved to our fate and then we're just going to have to continue watching our LBs grossly underperform, or is there light on the horizon? I think it's a bit of both. I got the all-22 really late from the Houston game, but what I saw in there was a couple of plays that had a lot of confusion for the linebackers. He looked like he was communicating all well, but not everybody was receiving. You know what I mean? In fact, the tight end touchdown against Houston that Neiman gave up, that was complete missed assignment, miscommunication. Tyron is back there stomping his feet and shouting at people. I'll try to pull that play again when I get the all-22 from this game, and you'll see some of the differences. But all that said, I think that despite having good experience in the nickel, I think Neiman is just kind of overmatched by some of the speedier wide receivers and certainly in slot receivers. And they're all a little overmatched against the run. When they really put their heads down and started attacking the run, you saw Wilson make a couple plays. Even Hitch made a couple of plays. But playing backward force or playing tentative because you're trying to read for pass, that's a problem. You hope that Willie Gay can make a difference. What I saw from him was a few snaps where he looked a little bit kind of just overhyped, a little frenetic is what I called it the other day. And I think that's just an experience that will come. But certainly it's also a point of not knowing exactly where you're supposed to be. A little bit of indecision, a little bit too much thinking is what I chalk that up to. Ryan White, evidently, and I didn't notice it on the presser. We recorded with Matt Derrick last night for the podcast. And then afterwards, Matt kind of jumped off so that he could go to the pressers. I didn't actually watch the pressers until after midnight last night. And when I did, I heard the question that Soren asked about Tyreek Hill and the helmet. I didn't put much to it. I didn't think Andy responded to it very much. But then today, Andy was quite deliberate in saying, I'm still not over that question you asked. So evidently it rubbed him the wrong way. It took a while for him to really react to it. So I think that was just from being tired from the game and being caught up in everything else. So it was about Tyreek Hill and whether that was a mental breakdown. FLDB, how are you? How great was Butker? How great has he been? He's been awesome. Do you think there's a good chance to get the NFL record for longest kid given the chance? I think he has an outside shot at it, yes. What is it currently, 65? I think he can hit from 65 really easily. He says he can maybe push it out to 70. I would love to see that personally. But we're just going to have to wait to see if he gets the chance. And he seems very comfortable with it, so he might. Let's see. Gary Holland, how are you, bud? Is Hardman, can he be a true number one receiver? Or is he a 2 or a 3? Right now, his progression is a little bit stymied. We saw him make a couple of mistakes yesterday that were about the reads, that were about where he was supposed to go. And that seems to be the limiting factor for him still. I still think he has the potential to get to be a low-end number one.
but he'd be an exemplary number 2, and I think that's really probably the role that they have in mind for him. Sorry. Let's see here. Who's next? Tactics, how are you, bud? How come Alex Smith never sucked against the Chargers like Mahomes? Honestly, because Alex was more methodical. He took the checkdowns more deliberately. They tried to build that into the game plan with Alex because they didn't have the option to go over the top. This defense, the cover 3, and particularly Gus Bradley's cover 3 that the Chargers play, protects deep. And they did that again yesterday, and that slows down the progression. That said, Alex, what was Joey Bosa a rookie when Alex last played for the Chiefs? That makes a difference. That line, that front, got significantly better. Tillery improved a lot, and Linval Joseph really locked down what they're able to do. And now the 4-man front is pretty good for them. That's what I think is the difference. Adam, thank you very much. I appreciate that. All from Canada, I see. Please come back, ask a question for me, will you? Let's see. Who's next? Cole, how are you? Knowing that Harrison has the leg for it, predict the game where he will set the new record. I'm going to say the AFC Championship against the Ravens. How's that? You asked me to pick, I'll pick, bud. Aaron is here as always. Thank you, Aaron. Nice to see you, buddy. There's your question, Adam. How concerned are you that Schwartz has already given up more sacks than he did last year? It is a little bit concerning. It's surprising to me, to tell you the truth. But that said, Bosa in particular is a really good pass rusher and very competitive. And we're starting to see the tipping point where the age is going to catch up with Mitch Schwartz. I think he's going to get it back on track. I think the lack of a preseason has kind of slowed down some reaction time in that thing. I think Schwartz is going to get back to his normal self here in the next couple of weeks. Maybe not this week because of Judon, however you pronounce his name, coming at him. And I think he's going to flip around. I think he's going to attack both tackles. And he is a consistently good pass rusher. So he's had success against the team in the past. I think that's going to continue. Let's see. Who is next? That was a great question, Adam, and thanks for the super chat. Much appreciated. Tactics. Chad Johnson, how are you, bud? How concerned are you with the regression from week 1 to week 2? I'm not concerned at all. Was it problematic? Did you want to see more? Yes, but that defense was noticeably better than the Houston Texans. I think we were all pretty hyped because it's the first game of the season, and we just saw them have to battle the Texans last time they played them. I think, honestly, the Texans are not as good a team as we kind of have in our heads. I didn't pick them to compete for the division. I think the Colts are going to win that division pretty handily. So I think maybe we're just overestimating what we saw in week 1. That said, to be down like that, to be utterly getting your butt kicked up front on the lines and not getting your big plays, and the defense struggling early, although I thought Spags made good adjustments. I thought the defense came on, allowing that game to be in the low 20s for that defense against that group of players. And I know the quarterback is a question mark, but that team has a lot of talent. I thought the defense did a good job overall in keeping that game low. And so being able to storm back after you've been playing like crap all day, I thought that was a really uplifting sign. The key is get that stuff figured out now before you get to the game. Your preparation, your game planning has to be better. And that's what I'm concerned about. So we'll see how they do. Tactics. CBS doesn't deserve the Chiefs. I don't know what idiot deciding that Tyreek doing nothing on the side was more important than the kicker who just won the game. I agree with you completely. They lost the Jags film too. Oh, I didn't realize that. Very interesting, bud. Let's see who's next. Tactics again. Andy Reid never gets outcoached. He also never outcoaches anyone. True. It's rare that he gets outcoached. I think it has happened. I think Belichick did it last. And I would disagree. I think he does outcoach a lot of people. I won't say that that's the case yesterday, although I feel like he did the setup. I think his play calling is just as good as ever. I think it comes down to Andy didn't adjust as quickly as I thought he would to the fact that Mahomes was not getting the ball away. They needed to shorten up the pass game real quick. They should have done that in the first half. They came out and they were tighter. They were quicker in the second half. That adjustment should have been made earlier. in my opinion. But they get lost in trying to stick to their plan of what they want to execute. And I think they give themselves a little extra leeway about when it doesn't get clicking right away, that they feel that, hey, we're just going to keep stabbing at it and we're going to get there eventually. Andy's front 15 plays are usually gangbusters. And the last few years, we've seen them not be able to execute his plan. So I think there's got to be a little bit more of a simplification in the first 15 from Andy. Even though he has all the ability to go deep, I think you want to tighten it up and you want to get some positive plays going, maybe a little bit. Hopefully they do that next week against a Ravens team that's going to be tough. Curtis, thank you for reminding everyone. Yes, please put the question marks at the front. It helps me tremendously. I don't know how we're doing comment-wise. I'm going to make sure that I'm not losing any, although I don't know where I am right now. How many penalties is lack of practice? Quite a bit of them. I expect those to settle down, especially for the veterans like Osemele. There's also, and I said it, I can't remember exactly when I said it. I think it was on the podcast. There's also a learning curve to playing with Mahomes. So Osemele got caught a couple of times when he wasn't expecting Mahomes to break the pocket and run. He'll get used to that as well. Ryan White, I'm always hopeful we can get bugs worked out during the week. But are you with me that Greg Roman is probably watching our tape licking his chops? Yes, absolutely. There are some issues there. Luckily, I think that they're not really in a position to exploit the Chiefs' biggest weakness, which I still think is corner. I'm okay if they're going to try to ram it down their throats, because when the Chiefs get Pennell back and they put their game plan into stopping the run, I think they're going to be okay. It's going to be about contain. I'm really happy with what the young corners have done to this point. I was fishing this weekend, missed my first Chiefs game in 5 years. What would you say were the biggest takeaways from the game not evident in the highlights? The fact that it's not explosive. Sneed's been really standout, and Clyde has on the offensive side, but all the rookies are contributing. And as this roster gets older, they're going to let some guys go because they feel they have talent underneath. In fact, looks like there's a question about this here in a minute. You guys have heard me talk about Sneed since before the draft, and obviously he's living up to my expectations. I'm happy to see that. Mike Dana is another guy that I didn't know before the draft. And when I dug into what they had to say about him, when I watched what the scouts had to say about him, I started talking him up, because when the coaching staff is that bought into you, that means that you have talent for what they want to do. And I think that's starting to pay off. And I'll answer your question in a second, Russ. 88, did Mike Pennell make a big enough run defense, impact, for you to feel comfortable against the Ravens? I think he's going to help quite a bit. Comfortable? No, I still think they're going to get their run. And I like that rookie Dobbins. I think they're still going to be powerful. They're going to get their yards, but it's not going to be a blowout. It's not going to be, I think, as bad as we saw yesterday, but they will make some yardage. If they play like this versus the Ravens, do they lose? Probably, because if they play like that against the Ravens, they go down by at least 14, probably more like 20. And yes, we know that they can come back from that, but we're starting to push the luck of coming back this often. Russ, there it is. He's looking like a steal. What do you think? Yes, absolutely. And it all goes back to, they've known this guy for a long time. They've understood how he would fit into their system. Pat Sperduto, the area scout for the Big Ten, talked about it. Brendan Daly was over the moon when they got him. And that reaction alone, I didn't scout him. I'd never seen his tape because he played at Central Michigan until last year, where he went inside and played a defensive tackle for Michigan. And so he had escaped my list, but they had him. And by their reaction, I knew what they were going to use him for. Curtis, Kelechi Osemele has been good, but his penalty issues. I think that's, yes, lack of preseason, but also lack of time with Mahomes yet. He's going to get there. You also have to give credit to the Chargers defensive front. That's a really good front. Is it as good as the Niners was last year? It's arguable. Probably not quite as good, but very, very good, like top 5 at this point, as long as they stay healthy too. How concerned are you about the regression? I think I got that one before, Chad. I might have skipped back down here. Yeah, they had 15 missed tackles in week 1. They had 14 yesterday. It's not getting better fast enough for me, but at least they're getting incrementally better. Stevie Keys, how are you? More surprised by the positive performance by rookies or the negative ones from the vets? Quite frankly, the positives from the rookies. I think the vets are still kind of rounding into shape, to tell you the truth, at least some of them. I'm a little concerned about Frank. Frank seems to be very sensitive to stomach bugs and hydration. He did say that he's feeling better today on social media, but that's got to be something that they are more proactive about avoiding. So I think that's probably the one that stands out to me. But I think the rookies are better in a season with no preseason, no OTAs than I expected them to be. Let's see. Needing 50-plus yard field goals to win. What is this? The Tim Tebow Broncos. Yeah, I mean, that's not something you want to see every week. But again, when nothing's working and you just will it back by the quarterback doing his thing, it's still impressive. They need to not get in that situation. And quite frankly, I don't think there's many defenses that are going to give them that much trouble. What did taco snaps look like, and how bad were the Neiman snaps? I think Neiman got exploited by athleticism a little bit. I think he was. My bigger concern is about Wilson, Hitchens, and Neiman not completing their assignments in the run game, and that sets everything up. He was at an athletic disadvantage with Eckler and even with Josh Kelly as well. I thought he was okay there. Taco, I think, gave you some decent snaps. He made a mistake at one point. I think he's coming around, and the more that he can just stop thinking and do what Brendan Daly tells him, the better off he's going to be. Tactics. The Niners and us have a lot of injuries, whether minor or major, a lot of suspensions and players underperforming. We are not immune to the Super Bowl hangover. True, but I think you've already seen that kind of warning sign and them react to it. So I'm not as concerned about the hangover for the Chiefs either. Ian, thank you as always. Super chat champion. Oh, and you guys, if I can find it, I made a graphic because I want to give a shout out to everybody that did contribute to the channel. I'm going to go find that right now. While we're talking about the fact is, which is more to blame, winning ugly, the line or receivers dropping passes that made our offense struggle, or the fact that we're missing D linemen like Pennell. I love Mike Pennell, but his absence is not what sent that defense reeling at first. And it certainly is not as big a deal as the offense that should be always explosive, always extracting everything that a given opponent has. They were just not clicking. And I think really the offensive line is the bigger concern for me because that was drastic. The receivers were a little bit here or there, but I think they made up for some of their bad plays with some good plays. That always is a little bit tough, but you never know exactly when that's going to come in. And I want to go get this right now, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do this the right way. While you guys are listening, I'm going to upload this picture because I wanted to give everybody a shout out. It's important to me to do that. And so that's the thing is the offensive line is they have to be better all the time because it's not just Patrick. That's also why Clyde didn't run like he ran in week one. There are a lot of things there that are just not able to be done the same way unless you're able to block it up correctly. I thought that Wiley and Ryder in particular got stymied a little bit. And again, I haven't seen all 22 yet. It's mostly what I saw from the broadcast. Assembly had a couple of issues too, but they were more the penalty thing more than getting, beat up, run over, run out of plays. But it went across the whole offense. They couldn't give him enough time to work some of those deeper routes, the intermediates. They needed to shorten the routes in order to compensate for that, and they didn't. What else did they do? They did a couple of other things, and it's just to the point where it gets to the point where everything is revolving around that particular issue. And when you do that, it's not something that you can really overcome within the game. You have to do it pregame. You have to get better at dominating at least the first step. But in this offense, especially when they're running zone, the first step's the most important to get to where you need to go. That has to come from that particular group on the interior in particular. I think the tackles are going to be okay. I know they're a little bit of a concern, but I think they're going to be okay. I'm not as concerned about that yet. I think Chris is a little bit worried about it, and we're going to have to see how they deal with Udon, to tell you the truth. But let me pause here, and that is because I want to go mark where I am right here with Ian, and come back to these are the folks that have helped the channel lately. These are all your super supporters. Everybody that's made, this is the August group because I finally got everything built for the graphic and all that. All these are the folks that have made contributions to the channel. These are the super chatters. And I appreciate every last one of you. Ian Roberts, you can see, we just finished Ian's question, and he is up there as the biggest contributor of the group. I know that's usually Gooch. I'm sure he'll catch up eventually too, but I want to say thank you to everybody that's on that list and everybody who's even considered being on that list. That's really something that makes me feel good that people enjoy this enough to help. So thank you all very much. Sticks. Did we make offensive adjustments or did the Chargers team get gassed? The adjustments came first, and then they did run out of steam a little bit. And I think both teams looked a little bit winded there at the end. So you could say that it was both, definitely. Breast or buttocks? Breast if it's chicken, buttocks if it's pork. Why does your team always struggle? Our team always struggle against Seattle cover 3, i.e. the Niners and the Chargers, because it's a different way of delivering the ball, and it generally takes somebody to beat somebody early down the seams like Travis. And that's why I was actually pretty impressed with Davis there, who's a cornerback for them that was on him. He's a big kid, so he hung with Travis pretty good yesterday. And so they didn't have the initial beats to get down the seams. And that high safety and the fact that they were playing what I thought was deep, again, I'll know when I look at the 22, that just makes things harder for what they want to do in this offense. Couple that with the fact that they weren't running the ball very well, that the front from the Chargers was disrupting the run. You couldn't do what they did week 1 to pull everybody in to be able to go over the top. So it was a combination. Russ, 19-0 possibilities. I like it if we beat the Ravens. I think that is such a long shot. I think this coming week against the Ravens is the one that I said 6 months ago was the biggest obstacle to running it back, let alone I don't see an undefeated season happening, but that's just me. Dylan, thank you as always. Dylan is also on that big list, you guys. So give him a hand. I feel that the hit on Sammy was dirty. Yes, I said it was a helmet to helmet when it happened because it definitely was. Do you feel it is hard to block, or does Mitch have some rust to knock off? I think it's a little bit of both. I think Bosa is ascending. I think Bosa's getting close to his peak. He just got that contract, and I think that shows that he's been doing the work. He's been getting a little bit better, but this was his first sack against the Chiefs, of Mahomes in particular. And I think that also is coupled with the fact that Schwartz isn't quite the Iron Man that he was a couple seasons ago. He's had to miss a little bit. I think that's a little bit of a telltale of that he's hit the peak of his career, and age-wise, he's starting to come down the backside a little bit. But it's also because he hasn't had the reps, and he's got Wiley playing next to him. So it's not LDT. It's not that comfort level. It's not that intuition part. So I think that's also a big part of it too. But thank you as always, Dylan. I appreciate it. Hog Farmer, any idea why the players seem to be a little upset, particularly Mahomes, Kelsey, Hill? Something was just off with their demeanors, as well as Andy in his presser. I think, honestly, I think they got bit. I'll say it. I think they got bit. I think they thought with Tyrod, and then certainly when they found out they were going to play a rookie at quarterback, I think they thought they had it in the bag. I think that they felt that their offense was going to be able to move the ball without a problem, and it got under their skin that they were wrong and that they had to work hard for it. And I think when you get slapped in the face, having the expectation that you're going to be able to do something, I think that's what you saw. And good for them for responding, getting pissed off, and putting it into channeling that anger into something productive. I said it last night on the podcast. The big thing that stuck out to me about Pat Mahomes is he got frustrated. You could tell he was frustrated, but from everything that we saw and his play on the field, he didn't lash out. He took that internal and he used that as motivation. He didn't take it out on his teammates. He didn't let things fall apart, and that's the key. Let's see. Kyle 2, sorry. Thanks for your super chat. I appreciate it. Tony Romo picked up on Jones a lot for being lost and getting picked on a bad O-line, which was opposite of what I wanted to see after all the Chiefs analysts thinking the pass rush would wreck the Chargers. I agree. Now, Chris made some very good plays. He did produce the most pressure of anybody on the Chiefs front. But you also saw some plays where he let somebody else do the tackling and he stood around. And I'll probably find some and point those out. I don't like that either. And I tweeted it during the game. They got to play through the whistle, all 11 of them. And there is a disturbing tendency on that defense, especially with the front, with the stars, Frank and Chris. Once their initial thing has not worked out and the play's not coming to them or whatever, I don't see the pursuit and I don't see playing to the whistle. And I want to see that more, or they're going to be in trouble at some point. So I'm with you. Adam Daughtry, what's the biggest thing the Chiefs need to be working on for Baltimore other than basic tackling? Basic tackling really is it. They're not going to get better at the linebacker spot against the run. They need Pennell in there to help them. Noddy played great this week. Tershawn Wharton played very well against the run too, more than I expected. Again, he is a better player all around. I expected him to be a pass rush tackle guy, a 3-tech pass rusher. I did not expect him to play this well against the run. So they need to emphasize that. The big thing is going to be you're going to give up yards. The thing is you have to be able to tackle efficiently and not get run through. Dan Sorensen, Hitchens, Neiman, even Wilson got run through once. You got to be able to bring those guys down on first contact. That's the key. And if that happens, you're going to be in okay shape. Let's see. Refs miss preseason as much. Absolutely, Curtis. I said the same thing on the show last night. Bert, how are you, bud? What does the Chiefs defense need to do to stop allowing all these rushing yards? Honestly, they just have to be comfortable doing it. They are keyed to defend the pass first, which is the trend in the NFL right now. And you saw a couple of times, and I'll try to find them and point them out, where the linebackers are not attacking downhill in the run enough. They're reading it, but they're not getting there. They're not attacking. This is not a scheme thing. This is a player thing. So as far as I can see, they need to be more aggressive against the run, period. And if they do that, when you're standing in the hole and you're letting a guy come to you to the line of scrimmage instead of attacking him because you don't want to miss tackle or you don't want to give him an extra crease, I can understand that for a second, but at the end of the day, you got to be aggressive at the linebacker level in order to make plays. We just committed a second-round pick to Willie Gay, but does yesterday show that he needs more research committed into that position? It may. I had hoped that Neiman and Hitchens would show some improvement yesterday. I don't think Wilson should be out there, to tell you the truth, in the nickel anymore. I'm not satisfied with his play against the pass, but Neiman's not showing what I expected him to show either, and Willie's not ready. And I don't think Willie's going to be ready for weeks, you guys. Mid-season is what I'm thinking, and I'm kind of said that a couple of weeks ago, and people thought I was nuts. I want to see him out there because they need his athleticism. But I think yesterday showed you that despite being able to play, I don't think he's ready to play. If he gets another 6, or he got 6 yesterday, if he gets another 6 or 10 or 12 snaps on defense, I think that'll be good. Incrementally bring him along so he gets more comfortable. And then I think you'll be cooking with gas. Let's see. Josh O'Neill, how are you? I think this is your first one, if I remember right. Do you think that Wharton will become a great asset to the D-line? I'm really impressed with what he's done so far. It's going to be about longevity, though. Every rookie has to get through a season before I'm going to start banking on them. So we'll see. Last only 314. I almost said that wrong. Do you expect teams to simulate the Chargers defense and what the Chiefs do to succeed? Some will. But you're not going to see teams change their spots. They're not everybody's going to go to a cover 3 just because. Teams that play cover 3 are going to use it. I think teams that don't are going to go to more of a split high safety, like cover 4 look from times, so that you can drop it down into a cover 2 man situation where you have safeties over the top, but your corners are playing man, trying to get a little physical. I think you're going to see that. I think you're going to see some middle kind of robber situations, much like what the Chiefs defense does itself. I think those are what the things that we're going to see as we go forward. I just don't know who's going to do what. Lucas, I knew Sneed was going to be good, but didn't figure that he'd be this good. What are his best traits as a corner? 2 things. He's physical. 3 things. Sorry. Obviously, he's an athlete. He's got great speed. He ran 4.38 at the combine. I hear he's actually been timed faster off of, in training and whatnot. So he's got the physical thing. He's got length. That's what allowed him to stay with Allen. Even when Allen beat him on a route, he was able to stay with him. Sneed was in coverage on 5 of the 10 targets for Keenan Allen. He did allow 4 receptions on those 5 targets. Not the greatest percentage. I want to see more PBUs myself. That's what I look for in corners. But here's the thing. Keenan Allen, for the last 10 meetings with the Chiefs, has averaged 11.3 yards per reception. He's averaged 13.5 in general over the last 5 years. And L'Jarius Sneed, a rookie, held him to 9 yards reception yesterday. That's really good. So, yes, he got beat a couple of times, but he made up for it by being right there and limiting what happened to it. I think he had like 20 yards of yak or something on him. Not a big deal. For a number one receiver, for a rookie to come in and basically take him for the majority of his targets, that's a good day out. And the other thing is being physical, being in the jam and being able to do that effectively. That's the problem with some others. You saw first week, Hamilton tried to jam and got destroyed at the line, and that's what gave up one of their huge plays. We've seen in the past that while Ward is comfortable with it, he doesn't always land his punch. He doesn't always make sure that he's in the pocket, and sometimes he gets beat early in the route, and that's when he has some trouble recovering. So to see Sneed do this as a rookie is really encouraging. JJ, does the consistent inability to tackle from our linebackers concern you about the potential playoff success? It does, but it also leaves me thinking that there's plenty of room to improve before then. So I'm not even thinking playoffs yet. Drink hot tea with honey. Yes, I will do that after the coffee's out, I promise. What position does Mike Dana play? Yes. He plays end, he plays tackle, he plays anything from a 3 technique to a 4-eye to the 5 heads up, out to the 7, and I even think I saw him go wide 9 once yesterday. I'll have to check that. And I'm very happy with him. He learned yesterday. You saw the progression of Mike Dana yesterday from that play that they ran early where he didn't get a clean bump on the running back that was going out in the route, and he didn't get to the quarterback. He was left alone on an island a couple of times, and I think one of those was a mistake. We'll talk about that on the touchdown. But then later in the game, he came back, and he got a good bump and disrupted the running back's route. That allowed him to close on the quarterback and get that sack. We saw Mike Dana get better in one single game from start to finish, and I thought that was really encouraging. Frank Clark missed more time with illness. Does that have an irritable sound or Crohn's disease? I have no idea. Some people are just more susceptible to flu bugs, stomach bugs, that kind of thing. It doesn't necessarily have to be something diagnostically solidified. But yeah, he seems to be sensitive to it, and I think it's something that they got to get a handle on. It if that means that he's got to learn to change his pregame meals to something. A lot of times they ask people to go to a blender diet. Certainly pre-hydration rather than rehydration. Maybe that means IVs. I don't know, but they got to get a handle on that because you can't have your premier pass rusher not on the field. Morbian, personally, I think that it was 15's worst game of his career. Any thoughts? He missed some throws. I don't know. I think there's been a couple others where he's been rattled as well. The first New England game comes to mind. He looked iffy the first part of the Super Bowl too, but yeah, this was really one of the worst ones. He did not look like he was clicking with his guys, let alone himself. Jamie, I will try to put some taco into the film review. I'm going to look at the bigger plays though. And the way that I do it, I can't cover everything each week. So, I'll try to get a look at them though. Chiefs Ravens. Gary, I'm not ready to go there. I got to see the scouting report, the injury report. I got to see the all 22 from these games before I can get into that though. But thanks for asking. I'll have something for you guys by the game plan by Monday. It'll probably go up Saturday or Sunday actually. Aaron, when are they going to start holding refs responsible for missed calls? They're not. They should be fined for not throwing that guy out for hitting Sammy. I agree with you. And they may get fined. They will get disciplined, but all that means is you don't get primetime games is my understanding. I don't think there's going to be any official punishment or anything like that. Info, are there tackling drills that the NFL uses, or is it just considering too insulting to make NFL players practice basics? No, there are drills. The problem is, and this is about dollars and cents. It's about the CBA. You can't have padded practices up to a certain point. You can only have so many. and you don't tackle to the ground for fear of hurting the offensive player. So you don't tackle live very often. Like you've seen those donuts, right? That they roll around or they throw around. Those are tackling drills. They need more of them, clearly. And when you're trying to get a defense installed and you're trying to bring all these rookies up to speed, that may be something that just got pushed lower in the priority list, to tell you the truth. Hopefully they can get back to that, because honestly, the biggest problem, the one that stands out to me, is Dan Sorensen, a longtime veteran that should be tackling better than he is. That's a problem in my mind. Let's see. Dennis, nice to see you. Why couldn't the Chiefs get anything to click on offense during the first half? Was it the receivers or the O-line? It was the O-line. Everything flowed from them. If they hadn't had the pass rush in his face, I think he would have had more time to wait for those breaks. Nothing else helped him either. So I think a little of it was Pat being a little off kilter. A little bit it was of the receivers, but a lot of it, the majority of it, was the O-line. Norman, hope you're doing well. How are we going to stop the run? Who's going to get the job done? Honestly, I think it's going to come down to Wilson and Pennell being in there and dedicating themselves. I know you guys are going to call me crazy. They're going to miss Reggie Ragland. They're going to miss Reggie Ragland next Monday. He is a guy that will come in and help you stop the run. They didn't keep him, and they didn't replace him with somebody like that, a second stringer to come in and beat up the run. That's a problem. Ryan, oh man, I am falling behind you guys. I am going to try to keep up, and we're going to get going. I've agreed with all your thoughts of the offseason about the possibility of Hardman breaking out. Why the heck isn't he? There's still something going on mentally. He's not making the sight adjustments. You saw him, taking credit for doing something wrong yesterday. You saw a couple of things where he wasn't going where he was supposed to, and some of those are some issues. Aaron, it looks like I might have missed something. Let me know if that's true, but I'm just going in order. Pono, glad you're here. Chargers seem to have figured out why CH was going to get used. Is Andy getting too predictable? Maybe a little bit. It's early in the season. So, and Gus is a good coach. Gus has been, really good at the top of his game. They did a little bit of scouting and they realized that they couldn't put anything super extravagant in it because of the lack of offseason. So I think it was a lot to do with Gus Bradley and the defense in Los Angeles. I almost said San Diego again. Are the Chiefs shopping a CB for a CB since they need one? Maximo, I don't think they are. I really don't. I'd love it if they did, but I don't think they are. Did Bucker kick his way out of Chiefs price range? No. At the end of the day, he's still a kicker. So, and I think he's under contract for another 3 seasons. So I think they're just fine. Redneck Conversations, thank you for your support. Appreciate it. Why isn't Willie getting any snaps? He's just not quite 100% there yet. He's playing on special teams, and that's helping. He got a few snaps yesterday, but you can see like how choppy his steps are. I just don't think he feels comfortable yet. I think he'll get there, and I think they're trying to be very careful not to push him too far too fast and ruin his confidence. Scott Meza, how are you? Is Nadi looking like a solid D-line? And your expectations for him? Yeah, I like Nadi a lot. I think he's looking like himself. I'd like to see a little more pass rush out of him, but I thought he's playing the run excellently, and I think he's giving you some push. And I think that's great to have a starting nose tackle that can play the one tech, that can play 3 if he has to, and to be able to do that consistently without being a star means that he's affordable, and you can keep him on this roster, and that I like a lot. Justin Troba, it's been a while. How are you? How would you play the Ravens if you were Andy? Pretty simply, I would play it as though I were the Ravens. I would run hard early. I would run out a double tight end. I would run out of H-back. I would play Sherman for the first 2 drives and smash it down their throats. I would wear it out, and I would hit the edges afterwards in the second quarter, and then I would play action the heck out of them. I think they're going to be missing one of their defensive backs. We got to see how that comes. I would also do a lot of short passing early, slants, little bit of rubs, the underneath crossers. I would lull Marcus Peters to sleep, and I'd hit him over the top. Marcus thinks he's going to make a big impact again. You got to pull him up to the line of scrimmage, and then you go downtown over the top of him. Sorry. I might be giving you a preview of my game plan. Let's see. Has the NFL caught the Chiefs offense? No, I think the Chargers just really, really performed well, and the Chiefs kind of went to sleep. I think they overlooked the Chargers. How excited are you about moving down the stretch of the Chiefs' bend don't break defense? I'm not excited about it. I want to see more domination, and I think it comes from the corners. I think that's going to help. If they can figure out the linebacker level, I think they'll be okay. I won't say they can definitely dominate. Certainly won't these next 2 weeks. Cam Newton's running like a old school too. So the rushing quarterback thing is definitely a thing right now. Let's see. Looking for question marks, you guys. Big Chief Sean, you're in here. Nice to see you, buddy. Folks, if you don't follow Sean's channel yet, go check that out. He's a man of the people. He does things that are man of the people based better than I do. So nice to see you, Sean. Question marks. Here we go, David. Wish we could have picked up Claypool. Everybody laughed at me when I said Claypool's going to be a factor. I actually would still line him up in the slot or at the tight end spot, run him out of there because you see what kind of a physical mismatch he is. Yeah, I'm very, very happy to see that he's coming along, and I like the kid. So I think he's got a decent head on his shoulders from what I've seen of him, what I've heard from people who've spoken to him. So more power to him. I'd love him in a Chiefs uniform, but that's me. Andy looked a little bit mad. He did. No fog made an Andy angry. So, hey, take that to heart. Re-justify. Get focused again, and I think they'll be all right. Maximo, I don't have any update on Sammy as of this point. Coach Reid did not have it this afternoon either. So I'm hoping we get an update tomorrow. They're off tomorrow, but I think they're going to have some press. And we will have Matt Derrick on Locked On Chiefs tomorrow. He'll be here on the channel later in the week. Do we think Mahomes basically took the game into his own hands due to frustration? Partially. He took it into his own hands in that he did the little things to extend the play, to pull the defense up a little bit. When he began scrambling, they had to adjust how deep they were playing. I expect to see a difference on the film, and I'll let you know if I do. But either way, mentally, they started paying more attention to what he was doing up front. By doing that, he extended some plays. It allowed Tyreek to get deep. That obviously was a huge play. I think that's all about what 15 can do that's above and beyond. This scrambling thing is taking his game to the next level. Teams are going to be scared of it. Gabriel, what's the weakest link? Who is the weakest link? Right now, the weakest is probably Neiman. Although I'm not really impressed with any of them right now. I'm sorry, Lucas, I skipped you. Does Clyde have glue on his gloves? Because he catches everything. He's a great pass catcher. He's got soft hands, and he knows how to catch the football in a lot of different weird angles and whatnot. I kind of thought the demeanor related to the hit on Sammy. Do you think that's what really fired them up? It could be. Sammy really looked dazed. So I would not say I would think that they took some of that to heart. I can't say that for certain, but I think so. Nathan, 2 weeks in a row where Neiman looks overmatched. Have a hard time believing DOD couldn't do a better job at will linebacker. Your thoughts? I don't think DOD can do a better job against the run. Those run fits that Neiman blew, he's got to get settled down because I don't think there's a better option right now. I think Willie will be eventually, but I don't think he's there yet, and DOD is not. In the pass game, I would agree with you. I think DOD can turn and run with some better results. Robinson's been shaky, missing easy catch, and Sammy's a receiver to make a push. And Sammy out. What receiver makes a push to be a starter? If Sammy can't go, they're going to put Robinson in there. They trust him. He's been here a while. If he screws up enough, they'll pull him. I don't think that he will. I think he'll be middle of the road. But I want to see Byron Pringle get more snaps. Daryl Miller, could the Chiefs have overlooked the Chargers and looking for a head for Mondays? Yes, that's exactly what I think happened. They'll never admit it, but that's what I think. Jericho, do you think the Chiefs should give Darwin Thompson more reps? No, I'm not. I think they're going to have to, but do I want them to? No, I want Daryl back in a hurry. Was it me, or were there a lot of drops yesterday? No, it was not you. You're just fine. And back to Thompson for a second. Credit to him. He did a good job with what he was given. But I don't think that that's sustainable. And I want Darrell Williams out there because I trust him in the pass game. I trust him to protect Mahomes. He can do everything except be that explosive breakaway runner. That's not his game. That's okay with me. I want him back out there. Let's see. Memberships. Aaron, good point. I have some of the graphics getting close. In fact, if I do this right. So here's the thing. You get icons, you get things that set you apart in the chat as a member, and you get to throw up some emojis and stuff like that. I have to build all that. And that's what's slowing me down is all the graphics work. So I'm getting closer, and I will have that. And I'm getting closer on the new lineup of the gear because I had to trademark this thing that is going to roll out, and you guys will understand when it happens. And that's hit a snag. So I'm kind of held up here, but I'll get there. I got a couple of cool ideas. And there may be something that emphasizes, what some of this looks like here on this channel. What happened to the immovable 340-pound type of defensive tackles? They got thrown on deep a lot is what they did. If you can't penetrate and you're not trying to run the ball, you're not affecting the game. If you can't affect a quarterback as a defensive tackle right now, it's really hard to get on the field and stay there. Is Kaiser a good blocker? Craig, he's pretty solid. He made a couple of nice plays, mostly on special teams yesterday, but a couple of good things. It's the pass catching. I think he's been serviceable, but I think you want somebody that's more athletic and can exploit defenses more. Nathan, our poor offensive line is a sign starting to show its age. Yeah, lack of play in Chargers D-line, just being that good. All of the above. I really do believe that. The Chargers are that good, and the tackles in particular are starting to get a little bit older. I know you'll be on board with this. Pringle replaces Sammy this week. I would love that. I hope you're right, Chris. Sean, you're the man. CJ. Kelsey said he never wants to play in an empty stadium again last night on Instagram. I didn't see that. How much do you think playing in empty stadiums is affecting away teams? Honestly, I don't think that it's affecting them that much, but some of them really need that go. And Travis is one of those guys that seems to feed off of energy around him, not just from his teammates, but from the crowd too. I think for some teams, it's actually helping them to be the away team because they're not facing that crowd. So I would lean more towards that in general, but clearly for Travis, he could use the oomph. Only Knives. Do you think that the Chiefs should attempt some 3 tight end sets? Run or pass, doesn't matter. Yeah, I mean, they don't seem to be ready to put Ricky Seals-Jones out there. Deion Yelder got on the field for a minute, and I think it was a false start or something. They called him right back off the field. So they were happy enough to put him out there. So I'm getting comfortable with that. I would do it. If you remember those trip sets of tight ends the other year, 3-4 years ago, that worked pretty well. When you look at what Sammy did against the Houston Texans with Kaiser and Sherm blocking for him, I mean, just make a wall. Let's do this. I want to see some power. I want to see them be aggressive, not only in the run game, in the blitz game earlier from Spags. I want to see them go out there and attack these Ravens. Otherwise, I think they're going to be in a knockdown shootout just like they were last time they played the Ravens. And you can't rely on no-look passes all the time. Or that craziness that went on in the 2-point conversion. That was a pass that I still don't understand how that happened. I just don't want to see them have to do that. Jeremy, even if Ward returns, is there a chance? Do they even have a chance against the Ravens? Absolutely. The Ravens did exactly almost point for point to the Texans as the Chiefs did. So, especially this early in the season, playing the same opponent really tells me that they are fairly close. It's just the strengths versus weaknesses. Can the Chiefs stop the run? Because I think they're going to cram it down their throat. And it looks like Lamar is comfortable passing from the pocket more so than he was last year, just from my personal opinion. Sneed can run with a Hollywood Brown down the field. It's about the tight end. It's about the running backs out of the backfield. And I'll tell you this now, I'm going to put it in the preview. Willie Sneed is a sneaky pick. It's going to be Sneed on Sneed this week, possibly. And that might work out in some ways. I'm really intrigued to see how they choose to attack the Chiefs. Shoot, I scrolled too far. Hold on. I'm going back up. James Duncan, do you see the Chiefs losing the Ravens after a very physical Chargers game? It's a possibility. They do have the extra day of rest, so I don't think it's going to be because of a physical thing. I think it is more about the X's and O's and the execution of the players. Do you think Mahomes is hiding an injury causing his poor play in the first 3 quarters? I don't. He looked like he was moving just fine, and he was throwing just fine late in the game. So I don't think that's what's going on. Jeremy agreed. Why didn't they match lines for Ragland? Just not enough usage. They're really concerned about getting better against the pass. Let's hope that works out. Stevie Keys, I have believed that Andy's first scripted plays are important in figuring out the opposing defense. But at what point, if you do you abandon your scripted plays and call plays based on game flow? You don't. You run your 15 period and you find what you can find. You use that as a tool. And part of that is hunting and pecking and poking different holes in the defense to see what you can find. So you don't abandon that. You use that to its script. Is Mitch Schwartz's performance declining? I think he's getting up to speed. I think the lack of preseason hurt him a little bit this year, but I think he's going to be fine. I think he's still Mitch Schwartz. He's already given up more sacks than he did all last year. Okay, great. Get it out of the way. I think he's going to settle down. He'll be okay. Firefighter Farmer, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. Just trying to make a donation list. Nice. And I'm going to do that every month, you guys. So feel free. You think the game... Do you think this game gave the Chiefs a wake-up call? I certainly hope so. It's tough. Mentally coming off of the Super Bowl and a team that has a rookie quarterback and even Tyra Taylor before that, I think they look past them a little bit. All respect, we talked about this. They're not going to miss Ragland. They miss Ragland. Okay, fair enough, man. Stevie, more concerned about the Ravens offense or the Ravens defense? Personally, I'm more afraid of their offense. I am too. I think that defense can be exploited as well, especially with these Chiefs. If you were Coach Spags, how would you utilize what we got from the players for this coming game? It's a good question. I think they might have Ward back, to tell you the truth. And so especially the problem's going to be Hollywood Brown, because he can run away from Fenton, and they want to line him up in the slot. So I'm going to play robber. I'm going to put Tyron in the middle as long as they can get Fenton at nickel. If they don't get Ward back, then Tyron has to play the nickel like he did last week. And if you guys missed my timeline on Twitter here earlier this afternoon, Tyron played over 50% of his snaps at the nickel cornerback position. That's what he'll do again. And that actually is a good matchup for them. So you saw what he can do one-on-one, and I don't think Hollywood's going to be able to run away from him. Juan's got to play better over the back. That's going to be important. Do you think the Chargers Ds were rushing where Mahomes drifts back 10 yards instead of the pocket? I don't know if they were doing it on purpose, but it worked to their favor. I think that is part of the thing. When Mahomes started to step up in the pocket late in the game, that's when he started to make throws. But that also is very subjective about each pass rush, each play. So I can't say that with a blanket statement. Curtis Harbaugh said that Tavon Young, the nickel, is out for the season. Oh, I knew he was hurt. I didn't know if he was out for the season. He's the guy that I've been referencing. And Young is the nickel who Tyreek or Hardman are going to have on him. So I don't know if that means Levi Wallace is next up. I'm going to have to look at their depth chart again. But I'll be getting some information. We have a crossover this week from the Locked On Network. We'll be doing that, and I'll be appearing with another YouTuber that's a Ravens guy. And he'll give me some information too. His name's Joe. I'll let you guys know when I'm on that. Scott, your thoughts on Fenton? I think he's coming along. I think he looked a little rough against the Texans. I thought he looked better yesterday. I got to see the all 22. But he didn't look as exposed to me. So I'm feeling pretty decent about him, especially if he can be where I think he's comfortable in the nickel. I still like him outside if Ward's not there. And with Tyron in the nickel, they're going to be okay. Only Knives. Yeah, I don't know why they're not using them. They're just not comfortable with him yet. Drew, I think I just answered that one. We're running out of time, you guys. I think the Ravens game will decide the number one seed. And likewise, only team to get a bye. I think you're probably right. These teams are the best two, and I said they should make the AFC Championship. Masterpiece, do you see the Chiefs addressing the defensive issues or lack thereof at a position before the trade deadline? I don't think so. I mean, Hassan Reddick made a play yesterday for the Cardinals, I think. And he's a guy that has athleticism in the pass game, but he hasn't been doing it. They've been pass rushing him. So I don't even know if there's anybody out there that they could go get at the linebacker level. And I don't think they want to trade for a corner, to tell you the truth, because that comes with price tags. Sean, you get another one. Did Darryl hurt? When did Darryl hurt his ankle? I want to say it was like mid-first quarter. I got to go back and check, but that's why Darwin came in instead of him, because he just wasn't available. Scott, do you think Spags wasn't blitzing enough Or was it all miscommunication? I think Spags likes to wait until the second half to blitz. I think he likes to wait until he has a better idea what's going on. I want to see him be a little more aggressive early. That's just me. But I know that he's a smart guy. He doesn't want to give away his blitzes. And honestly, I don't think he wants to take a risk early in getting the offense down when the offense isn't clicking. If the offense comes out and runs well, runs smoothly right away, I think you'll see more from Spags. Will Tyrod play another snap under center for LA? Yes, he definitely will. I'm concerned about his health, but they say that he could be back this week, which I think is crazy. And they said he will be the starter, which I again, I'm not sure I would do. What if Fenton is on Willie Sneed? Willie Sneed will not run away from Fenton. Fenton's fast enough decently, but he cuts really well. And Fenton, he's good in change of direction. But I think Willie will get loose on some of those in-breaking routes, to tell you the truth. What do you think of LA's Herbert? He's great. I was really high on him coming out in the draft to the point where people kind of called me crazy. Nothing against Burrow. I still thought Burrow was number one, but I thought it was, honestly, I had Herbert number two above Tua because I'm concerned about Tua's health long-term and that kind of thing. And I like what Herbert has to offer. What do you run more, pass or run or pass against the Ravens defense if you were Big Red? I would run heavy early, and then I would go away from it because you want to pound them. You want to get them beat up a little bit. You want to pull that defense in. That allows for the play action. That allows for those deep crossers that I think, especially now that we know that Tavon Young is out, I think that lets you run those crossers from the slot where they like to do it, and I think that's going to pay off. Let's see. Breland 1, Ward 2, Sneed 3, Fenton. Yeah, I mean, if you were just going by sheer performance, but Sneed can play in the nickel. He has done that some, but I think he's better outside. Fenton is probably still best inside, so you might have to switch that around. I think eventually it's going to be Sneed and Ward, and Breezy's going to be the guy that comes in to help. What do you think about Tyreek wearing his ring before the game? Oh, I didn't see that. I don't know anything about it. I think that's kind of silly. Again, maybe overlooking the Chargers. Shot of whiskey for that throat. I'll give it a shot. I don't want to depress my system too much, though. Do you think Thornhill is still fighting to shake off the rust or hasn't fully healed? You know, I thought he played that one ball in the air rather strangely, like he didn't have the same power to push off, and that might have been the knee. It might have just been the positional thing, but I don't think he's 100% yet. Like I said last week, I think he's in the 90-ish range. He's not quite 100% there, but he'll get there. As long as he can keep himself healthy and keep himself out of the potential for injury, Juan Thornhill's going to be back. Do you think Spags should be adjusting quicker? In general, yeah. Like, I want to see him not necessarily adjust. I think his adjustments are fine. I want to see him be more aggressive earlier. That's me. But it goes hand in hand with the offense, too. Do you think Thornhill's missed tackles are due to his injury from last season? A little bit. I think it's more due to the fact that he was out all offseason. He hasn't practiced hardly at all. He didn't even start training camp on time. So that's part of it, too. Hollywood is the closest thing the Ravens have to the cheetah in my ends. Do you see anyone on Baltimore's roster who comes close? No, that's exactly the parallel that I would draw, Cole. Zane, do the Steelers look like a threat to the Chiefs? I think the Steelers are pushing to win that division. I think they're going to finish number 2 behind the Ravens, but I think they're going to be a wild card team. So yeah, at that point, anybody in the playoffs is a threat. Ryan White, I'm watching the game and the opposing offense is picking apart our zone. I want to pull my hair out. What would you like to see? Would you like to see more man? In general, I would. In general, I want to play more man myself. But this week, it puts you in a little bit of danger. I thought Sneed played his man snaps very well. I think he's okay in zone. He played safety, so I'm comfortable with him there. I'm not so sure about Fenton. Nothing against him, but I think he needs to be in contact with this guy. I think putting him in off coverage or zone is a little bit more troublesome for him. So I think that makes it harder for him. So, and this is the last one. I just want to say, oh, wait, it's not the last one. Our membership's going to be monthly or one-time payments. They're monthly. So if you don't dig it, you don't have to, but there's going to be a couple of cool things. Like, this is a professional channel. This isn't a fan site, right? One thing that Dan and I are going to do is do an after hours video, which will probably be a Zoom meeting that the members will be invited to, where we'll talk a little more frankly, a little more water cooler-ish, probably adult words that aren't meant for kids that watch this channel. So that's one of the differences. We'll get into all that. And it'll be a recurring monthly thing. We'll have everything from I think $3 or $5 will be the bottom and on up. We'll roll that out as soon as we can. I just got to get the work done, you guys. It's all on me. Gabriel, Dan, I've been impressive so far. What does he need to do to take his game to the next level? Just keep learning. Keep learning to process quickly. Like I said, we saw him progress through that. That was recognition that helped him on that last play. I think we'll see more of that. Kevin, do you think that the new travel procedures could have contributed to a lackluster start? They certainly could have. I know that they're sequestered in the hotel. I think that's a positive, but I don't know the rest of their travel routine or how different it is from last year. So that's it. That's it for me tonight. I'll let you guys go. Thank you for all the time and for watching and for all you super chatters. Again, let me throw this up for all of you that have contributed to the channel. I got to take the comment down. There we go. Thank you very much. These are the August contributors. We'll do this again later in September again. Dan will be back later in the week. We'll talk with Matt as well. We have all kinds of stuff, film reviews and etc. coming for you. Danilo will get you ready for kickoff next week. Hope you guys have a good one, and I'll talk to you next time.